Hi everybody. Let me get this all in shot here. So today we have a Rotel model RX-600 on the bench. Let me put it down. And this is the big brother to the RX-400 that I did a video on a while back. That 400 performed so well and it had such a nice look because of the wooden cabinet and everything that my son actually took that one for his apartment. And that's the one he has in his entertainment system. And just the way that the dial face lights up and everything and the way it sounds, it's just a nice little receiver. So when this one came up, this one is rated at 42 watts per channel, and I think the 400 is something like 30 or 25, something like that. I figured I'd grab it. Now I have no idea if it works or not. I don't know anything about it. So we're going to learn that together. And I think before we do anything else, let's just hook it up to the current limiter and see if it turns on. Okay, let me take the twisty tie off of this thing. Let's turn on our current limiter and our isolation transformer. I think a 110 watt bulb should be good for this one. Let's make sure the power is off. And now we need a power switch or the button. So I'll have to make one of those on the lathe or something. Figure it out. So let's see if this turns on. And of course I can't turn it on. So let me use a chopstick. And it lights up. Nice. And it looks like the tuning knob, or the tuning, well, not seeing anything. Of course, there's no antenna or anything, but it's lit up. Let's connect some speakers. Well, first let's check and see if we have any DC offset, but because I don't know, I don't recall if this has a protection relay or not. I would expect that it would, but just in case. That feels kind of wonky. So let's turn it around. I don't have any excessive light on the dim bulb, so that's a good thing. All right, let's see what we get here. Not much. About 5 millivolts, that's good. How about here? Wow. Less than 1 millivolt. So this might be a capacitor coupled one, you know, that has a single power supply. I think, as a matter of fact, that's what this is. So we'll look at that on a schematic. But all right, let's connect some speakers and see if it makes any sound. Okay, speakers are connected. Well, we've got a scratchy control. Sounds like it's trying to tune something in. Let me try to hook up an antenna. Okay, that's better. Okay, so the tuner tunes, that's good. The volume does not go all the way down. Definitely need to clean the controls, but that's strange. Am I on mono? There, how about, no, stereo is out. That's weird, the balance control doesn't even work. Do I have this hooked up wrong? Let's see. Oh yeah, I have it wrong. Okay, so on the back of this, it doesn't go across this way. It goes here and here, so I have to disconnect this one and move it down. So it goes left and right. Okay, so that's the left, this is the right. Connect this up. See what I get now. Yeah, I think we have to clean controls before we do anything else here. Yeah, I have a channel out. I definitely have a channel out. So it could be the dirty controls, or it could be something wrong with the amp. But I think before we do anything else, let's clean the controls. Okay, we got the screws out. Take the cover off and let's see what we have. Well, we have a lot of dust, but everything looks good. Actually, it looks pretty good. I mean, I don't think anything's been done with this. Looks to be pretty much untouched. So, how hard is this going to be to clean the controls? Well, doesn't look like it's going to be that hard at all. Famous last words, huh? And I really like the fact that this uses those TO3 transistors. Those are nice. They're easy to work with, and they're pretty stout. Like I said, we'll look at the schematic here in a little bit. But I like the layout of this because if you look, here's the amplifier module. Here, this looks to be the multiplex for the FM. Here's your IF strip for the FM. And here's the IF strip for the AM. There's your tuning gang. And right here is your phono preamp. And this thing is really set up with the inputs. It's got 2 phono inputs, AM and FM, and 2 auxiliary inputs. And of course it has a tape monitor. So lots and lots of inputs. Pretty cool. And you can adjust the bass and treble individually between the right and left channels, which I don't know why you would ever do that, but it can. So let's flip this over, take the bottom off, and see if we can get these controls cleaned and see if that fixes it. Okay, so here is the board. Look at this bare copper. It doesn't even have the green mask on it. Anyway, we probably need to just take the faceplate off and remove this board so we can get to the pots. All right. That's a lot easier. How about that? Okay. Now, how do we get this faceplate off? Is it glued on? Or yeah, it might all be one piece here. I don't know. I've never done one of these before. Okay, so there's one screw here and one screw in here, and then this lifts out and pops up like this, and you can see this lip, this little channel in here, and there's 3 little tabs that hook over that, and that's how it holds it on. Pretty cool. I like the way that is. I like this Rotel gear from this era. It's very well built, and usually it needs very little service because it just works. Just good design. So let me take these out and we can slide that board back. Okay, remove the hardware from the front of the controls. And let me get these little twisty ties off. I should have enough room to get this out, I hope. There we go. Okay. So now we might be able to get in there and clean these now the proper way. Okay, so those potentiometers are peened over, meaning you can't get them apart to clean them. So I just tossed them into the ultrasonic cleaner and get those all cleaned out, and then I'll relubricate them and put them back together, and those will be good. In the meantime, I'm going to check some of these capacitors over the buzzing noise of the ultrasonic cleaner. And these are all really small value electrolytics, so they're not going to go all the way into the green, but they should all be in that 3 to 4 ohm range, I would imagine. Let's see here. Where's this one going? Goes from here to here. Yep. This one should buzz right here. Yep, it does. That was a bigger one, and this one on this side should buzz. And it does. These are going to be low, or I should say high resistance. They're all reading perfect. I don't think I'm going to need to replace any of these. They're fine. These gray Alma caps, a lot of them they hold up pretty well. So I'm not going to worry about it. Yeah. Anything in that 3 to 4 range for those little ones is going to be good. So yeah, these are all good. Let's look at some of these power supply caps. You sick of the buzzing yet? That one's good. That one's good. 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 How about this one here? It's going this way. It's good. So these are all good. Alright, so I'm not going to play with the capacitors on this thing if it doesn't need them. I'm just going to clean the controls and see where we are with that. And after a quick bath, they are like new. These were just completely black with tarnish. Just amazes me how they clean them off. And even if there's still some tarnish on it, when you get it out of the ultrasonic cleaner, you just wipe it like that with your finger. It comes right off. Really nice. And then I just put a couple drops of deoxit green in there, and we're set to go. So let me get these put back in. All right, all the controls are cleaned and back together, and I cleaned all the switches and everything. And let's see, and I did clean the rotor contact points there on the tuning gang, because that often gets tarnished as well. If you look, anywhere that these little brass clips here make contact with the rotor, they have to make contact. That's part of the circuit. So if those get tarnished, you'll get strange, you'll get crunching noises when you try to tune. And that's a telltale sign of that. So hopefully that'll take care of that. So let's turn this on. And I have my signal generator set to 98.1 stereo. So we're putting a stereo signal in there. I don't want to hit a copyright strike, and I don't want to deal with all the noise on the radio stations. It's late morning, early afternoon right now. So, all right, let's see if, first of all, if we get volume. And it appears we have 2 channels back. All right, let's tune down to 98. Well, let me prop this up so you might be able to see a little better. There we go. So let's go to 98 point, and there it is. And I have stereo. It sounds like when I switch between stereo and mono, I hear a little bit of hiss, but I don't have any stereo indicator, so the light may be burned out. In addition, 2 of the panel lamps were burned out, and I actually had 2 of these in stock, luckily. So I replaced those, and now the dial lights up properly. But let's see if we are going to get an output. I'm going to have to go into a scope so we can actually see it, because you can't always hear if stereo is working or not, especially when you're dealing with just a signal generator. So let me do that. All right, and just as I suspected, there is no output now on one channel. And if I go down here and I select mono, I have both channels. And I'm just not there. Okay. So what that's telling me is if I go to stereo, I lose a channel. If I go to mono, I gain a channel. So let's just see if we can figure out why that is. All right, it's kind of strange that it works that way. Let's go to AM. You can see AM, there's the static. But FM stereo is dead. So that means it's going to be this board right here, which is your multiplex board. So let's just see if there's a loose connection or something. Look at that. Oh, there it is. I think we have a loose solder joint. See that? All I'm doing is moving this filter right here. So I think we have a bad solder joint. Boy, that was the quickest troubleshooting I've ever done. Okay. Let me flip this up. Let's turn it off. Kill the power. And these are just held on with little clips. Let me bring you over here to see. Okay, so all we have is these little clips here. Let me get the stand off there. And this should be pretty easy to pop off of here. Just don't bend them so far you break them off. All right, can I flip this? Yes, I can. And let's look underneath. Let's see if we have a cracked solder joint or something, or a loose wire. I don't really see anything offhand that looks to be loose. And it seems to be when I move this over here, so this is up in this area here where we're losing it. Everything looks very well soldered down. Don't see any cracks. Let's get a little magnifying glass on the subject here. No, I don't see anything. Well, you never know though. There could be still something loose and I'm just not seeing it. Let's reflow it and let's see what happens. Okay, I'm going to take care of this here. Try not to melt the wires. It seemed like when I was moving that filter. So let's make sure we get those. There we go. Or maybe one of these wires was cutting into something. It doesn't appear to be. I don't see any breaks in the wires, but we'll check that as well. Let's see, what's this under here? This is just a blob here. No, it's not. There's supposed to, it appears to be there's no wire in there. It's just that looks better. Looks better already. I don't think this has ever been serviced. This is all factory. but a lot of times they didn't clean all the flux and crud off the boards when they soldered them. This is obviously not wave soldered. These were handmade boards. You can just tell. So it's possible for something that just didn't catch properly. So let's move these wires all back to where they were. All right, like that. And let's flip this back over, like so. I don't think it's the potentiometers, but I could be wrong there too, but that's it. So let's try it back out and see see if that made any difference. All right, power on. Hey, what do you know? It's back. Let me tap that part again. Nope. That was it. I had a cold solder joint. So that looks good. Much better. Now what I don't know is how good this tuner is. We do have a stereo light. So if I go, there's right only, left only, and of course the scope's not triggering off that. Good. If I give it a little more signal, clears up a little bit. And really it doesn't even need adjusted. You can see how flat that is. The separation's really good. So that's good. All fixed.